So in this video, we want to come up with a nice formula for finding the derivative of a constant multiple of a function. So it says, let f of x be differentiable, so let the derivative exist. Let c be any real number, and suppose you want to find the derivative. So remember, d dx means take the derivative of. Suppose you want the derivative of a constant times a function, so a constant multiple of a function. And the idea is that if we want to take the derivative of the constant multiple of a function, we can just multiply the constant by the derivative of the function. So the constant, we don't need to worry about the constant in the process. We just do the constant times the derivative. And if you were trying to prove this rule, what you would use is the difference quotient. We have learned that to find a derivative, we take the limit as h goes to 0 of the difference quotient applied to the function we're working with. So in this case, our function is actually c times f of x. So we could apply the difference quotient, the limit as h goes to 0 of the difference quotient applied to this. So c times f of, we would replace the x with x plus h, and then you go minus the original function f of x, and then it's, the original function is c times f of x. So c times f of x plus h minus c times f of x, and it'd all be over h. And then you want to notice that the c shows up in on these two terms, so the c can actually be factored off. So we get the limit as h goes to 0 of factor the c off, c times f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. That was a terrible f of x. I'll fix it a little bit. And then what we want to remember from the second homework assignment, it was homework 3, I believe, we learned that if we take the limit of a constant times a function, that we can just take the constant times the limit instead. So we get the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x. And this is all over h. So the limit of a constant times a function is the same as the constant times the limit of the function. And then if I look at this limit right here, this guy here is just the definition of the derivative. So this really is c times the derivative of x. So that's the justification for saying if you want to take the derivative of a constant multiple of a function, just take the constant multiple of the function's derivative. In the next video, we'll show an example of applying this formula to find a derivative.